live! Welcome to another edition of RockSim Live. My name is Tim Van Milligan. This is where we talk about the RockSim software. I put a poster up today of the RockSim software. So we can talk about RockSim, RockSim Pro, or the Launch Visualizer. Those are our three RockSim products. Let's see. So if you're here for the first time, let me show you where you can get RockSim. There's a free trial version. So if you come to the ApogeeRockets.com website, there's a banner bar up here. If you click on that banner where it says RockSim 10, here's where you can download a free trial version right here. If you have version 9, there's a free upgrade to version 10. If you want more information about it, go to How To and Guides, and then come down here to Software, and here is our menu of different options. Again, you can download a free trial, you can purchase it, you can find out what it is in a generic sense. You can find out some of the features, some of the frequently asked questions, what you can do with RockSim, the system requirements, which is very important, and the version history. And then over here we have video tutorials that you can watch. We're doing the RockSim Live training right now, and if I click on this, we're on episode number 88. Today is September 23, 2022. This is our 88th episode. Cool. I've got a chat going on right here, so if you have a question about RockSim, go ahead and ask it now, and we will answer it here today, because this is what we're here for, is to answer your questions. And you can also say hello, because I like knowing who's in the room. We have Wally Furr, the 3D printer guy, Mark Sell from Parker, Colorado, Chris Stwainston, Carlos K from Marietta, Georgia, and Jesse Jones. He says he can't wait. That is so good, and there's questions coming in already. 3D printer guy says, I got my G motor rocket flown the other day, was waiting for the rain for a while, but he did get it up in the air apparently. And Fat Bank is here from Texas. Cool. Speaking of version history, if you go down to again to the software link and then come down here to version history, I got a notification from our programmers that they got a new version almost ready to release. So it's going to be called RockSim 10.4.1. And that means it's a bug fix, because we're going to fix a few little bugs that we've noticed. And there might be a little surprise in there. We'll find out. Hopefully that will be next week sometime. A couple of the bugs that we wanted to fix was for people on the Macintosh. There's a issue that Mac software, you get a weird error when you load the software for the first time. It pops up this screen to register, and then right behind it there's another screen that you actually need to see. So there's like 3 screens popped up there, and you need to see the one in the middle. And you can't get rid of it while this screen is in the way. So we have to make a little change to slide it over so you can see the screen behind it, so that you can continue with the registration. Not everybody has this problem, but enough people that we need to get it fixed. And then on Windows, similar issue when you install it for the first time. You get this error message saying, "Woo, this is program you downloaded from the internet. It's scary." Well, we're going to take care of that issue, and that's what I'm waiting for, is our programs to fix that one. There's a signing issue. It's kind of like a security certificate to make sure that it's legitimate software, and when you download it, nobody between our web server and your computer is inserting any malware, because it starts out clean here, and by the time it gets to you, it's got to be clean. So that's what's going to be, those are the big changes. So we want to fix those issues. So our last one before that was in May, and so that's been a couple of months ago already. So it's time for another update, which is really cool. Ooh, we got Terry Wheelock in the house, and we have Kevin's Models and More, and he says, Wally, I used to live in Massachusetts. So Wally must be in the house too. I don't see him though. Okay, so we have the first question from Carlos K. Why do we use fins or body tube at all? In RockSim, a 13mm engine, a short BT5, and a vacuform nose cone to cover it, attaching a light graphite rod to hang down. How high would it go? So I think he's talking about making like a firework bottle rocket. Not confused with a bottle rocket like a water bottle rocket. This is kind of like what you'd see on an Independence Day celebration. So can we make something like that? And the answer is yes. So here in RockSim, as you see, I'm in RockSim. How come I don't have a camera? My desktop camera. What's going on here? Let me get this going. Cancel. I thought I had set up all of my properties. Shoot, I got this big cursor going on here. There it is. There I am. Yeah, so what we're going to do is to create a bottle rocket. So let's start the design, and when we design a rocket, we start here and we work across. So let's call this a bottle rocket, and I'm not going to change anything else. I'm going to go to the rocket design components, and then we're going to start creating the design. So let's create a body tube, and we're going to use a 13mm, because that's a BT5, and right now it just generates one that's 18 inches long. So let's make it really short. Let's make it 1.5 inches. So now it's really short. And we're going to say this is a motor mount tube, and we're going to load an engine. Let's load in an A3, and we'll give it a 4-second delay. So I'll click OK. So now you can see, this is really hard to see, but we have a tube with an engine tube, or an engine right here, this brown thing. So that is the tube. He says let's put a nose cone on it. We should have done that first. So let's put a nose cone. So to make the nose cone, make sure it's ahead of the body tube, we need to click on the sustainer and add it there. And I need a 13mm nose cone, so I'm looking for PNC 13, something like that. Okay, so here's a vacuform nose cone right here, 13mm. Click OK, and you can see the shoulders interfering with the motor, but I can make that shoulder a little shorter. So I'm just going to come here to the length here. Let's make it like 0.15 inches. Hit the tab. Now we have a little short shoulder. I can make it actually a little longer here. Maybe make it 0.2. 0.21. Okay, close enough. Okay, so there is my nose cone and a body tube with a motor in it. Let's look at it in 3D to see what it looks like. So here's 3D. All right, see what it looks like so far. Oh, we should have made it red, but that's okay. Now we need to add the stick along the side. So let's do that. To add the stick along the side, we need to create a pod. So a pod allows us to put that stick on the side. So a pod is a placeholder. It's kind of like the sustainer. We're going to add parts to it. So when we started, it was blank. So when we add the pod, it's going to be blank. We'll call this the stick attachment pod. And we're not going to eject it. We want it to stay where it is, and we're going to attach it right there where this crosshairs is. Click OK. Okay, so you don't see the pod right now because there's no components attached to it. So we'll attach a body tube because that's the closest thing that we have that represents a stick. So we're going to attach a body tube, but I'm not going to choose one from the database because I need a really tiny one, and I know in the database we don't have any really tiny ones. So the outside diameter, what's the diameter of the stick that's attached to it? Let's make it 0.125. Let's make it 1/8 of an inch. So here's 1/8 of an inch. That's it's just a disc right now. We need to give it some length. So here is the length. So this shows that the rocket is unstable because sticks, according to the Barrowman equations, which RockSim is based on, anything that's round like a body tube does not contribute to the coefficient of lift. So just by adding a stick to it, it doesn't make it stable. But at this point, it is just like a bottle rocket. Click OK. I'm going to make this one red as well. And then we'll just look at it in 3D, what it looks like. So there's our bottle rocket. Let's launch it and see what happens. So I'm going to click OK here. So at this point, the rocket's ready to launch. We should have called this the stick. Click OK. Okay, so there's our stick. I'm going to save it because I might try this in the launch visualizer if it works. Click Save. All right, so now we're ready to launch. So I'm going to go up here to prepare for launch. The engine was already loaded. You can see the back end of the rocket. The brown thing is the motor, the blue is the tube, and here's our stick on the side. There's no flight events because there's no parachute in it. Starting state, we'll make it a really short 36-inch launch rod, just to give it a little bit of stability going off the top. We'll launch straight up, so our launch angle is going to be 0. Launch conditions, we have a 6-mile-an-hour wind and a flight profile. Let's launch it and see what happens. Okay, I always go to the flight profile. So this shows, I don't think this is going to work because I'm not showing any time right here. But we'll launch it anyway. Oh, the rocket went like this. It went so fast, it's flipping over. It crashes pretty quick. We are at 1.10 seconds and it crashed here on the ground. So not very impressive. It did kind of sort of go up, and this is the problem with bottle rockets, is they are not that stable. They rely more on having the center of gravity pretty far forward. In real life, the stick will create a little bit of drag, and that's where we're getting our stability from. So it did, let's see how high it went. So we're looking at the apogee point, like somewhere in here. We got about 50 feet off the ground, which is probably what, you know, you might get a little bit more out of a bottle rocket. Let's cancel that. So that was kind of cool. Let's see that in the launch visualizer, because I want to see that in 3D. So again, we're going to save it, and then in the launch visualizer, to bring up the launch visualizer, we'll go to rocksim.com in a browser. It's loading. Our internet's a little slow today. Okay. Okay, so here's a rocket on the pad. So I need to log in. So I'll go up here to log in. Signed in. Okay, once you're signed in, it'll show that you're signed in over here, and the login button will go away. So now I'm signed in, so I'm going to upload my design. So we click the upload new rocket design here, come here to browse, and we'll find it on our computer. And I put it on the desktop. So here's the bottle rocket. Click upload, and then upload it to the website, and it got loaded. Click OK, and it will reload our rocket right here. So it is sitting on the pad, and you can see it doesn't have a motor in it right now, but that's the bottle rocket, just like we designed. We need to choose a launch site, so let's go to the database and pick one. I had a new one come in over the last week. It was this Underwood Farms. I think this is Novar in Northern Virginia, or no, NARHAMS, National Association of Rocketry. No, I don't know what this is. It's somebody's launch site. It's got a mountain over there. Let's look at it in 2D. See where this rocket launch site is, what state we're in. We are in California. Thousand Oaks. I'm not sure exactly where this is, but it's a nice little launch site somewhere in California. Oh, this is Ventura, California. This is a new launch site that we featured in our newsletter a couple weeks back. This is just north of Los Angeles, northwest of Los Angeles. So that's where we're going to launch from, right there. We'll give it a 6-mile-an-hour wind, and we're going to launch straight up. And I need to go here to steady wind, choose the wind, 6 miles an hour, click OK. Now we need to load the rocket motor, because there's no motor loaded right now. And we had the A34. Click OK. It's not showing the motor in there. There are no flight events, but that's okay because we have no parachute. So now we're going to launch it. Okay, and simulate. All right, let's see while that's going on. Why is my screen black? It's either not loading the maps or my altitude is wrong. What went on? Let me check my altitude here. Yeah, just reloading this. It's just kind of like being real slow. My simulation was saved. My maps are not loading. Well, now they're kind of slowly loading in the background. Well, there's the rocket. Let's see what happens when it takes off. Actually, it went a lot straighter this time. And then it's tumbling. You can see it tumbling right there. Oh, there's the map now. Let me, what's going on here? I'm not seeing any buttons. Things are just loading really slow. Let me check the comments while that's going on. Chris Swanson says, Carlos, I make fireworks and make an engine, put about 5-ounce header on it, put a 3-foot stick on it, and it goes about 600 feet or so before the header display. I think he's talking about the explosion as being his header. So yes, you can do it. You know, model rockets are classified different from fireworks, and using a model rocket as a firework is against the NAR safety code. So putting an explosive on top is definitely against the NAR safety code, and it puts rocketry in a dangerous spotlight that we don't want regulators to think about using rockets as fireworks, because we took a long time to get the model rockets to be separate from fireworks, and we don't want to go down that road. I'm going to refresh this screen because my buttons still aren't showing up. Terry Wheelock says, you got to add nose weight. Yeah, I'm sure you do. Okay, so that's fireworks, and we're done with fireworks for today. We want to talk about real model rockets, and we don't want the government to come stomping on us. I have no other questions, so if you have a question, oh, wait a minute, if I scroll down. Wally says, I have 2 G79 motors in the database, and neither one seems to match the numbers compared to the one I have unopened. It's a loadable motor system. Why would this happen, and what's the best way to fix it? 2 G79 motors. So let's go into RockSim. Let's open a rocket that has a 29 millimeter engine mount. So I'm going to go to RockSim Designs. Maybe a, what do we got that's 29? North Coast Rocketry Archer. Do I want to save that? No. Okay, so here's a North Coast Rocketry Archer, and let's open up the database of motors. So let's look at that first. So choose engine. Let's sort it, and these are all 29 millimeters, and you can change that by show only the 29. Okay, so he says G79, so I'm scrolling down to G79. I have a G79 white. I only have one in my database, so I am not sure what's going around. Let me check on the Apogee website. Let's close that. Let's type in a G79. Okay, so we have a loadable motor, and we have a reload. Okay, so that is why there's 2 G79s that you're seeing, because there's a reload and then there's a loadable. And then there's a Cicerone that's also a G79. But in Aerotech, there's a G79 propellant kit, and then there's a G79 loadable motor. So this is a good question, is how do you tell them apart? So let's, I'm going to open them up in new tabs. New tab. I'll open that one up. Okay, so this is the reload, obviously, because you can see it. And it has a total impulse of 108.6 Newton seconds. And the loadable has just slightly smaller amount of thrust. This one is 108.0. This one was 108.6. So if you are in RockSim, and you go back to RockSim, and it shows it's a 106.44. So it doesn't match either of them, which is not exactly surprising. So let's talk about rocket motors. I think last week we did want to talk about rocket motors this week. So I am going to open up Engine Edit. Engine Edit is software that comes bundled with RockSim. And it allows you to edit the motor files. So this is what Engine Edit looks like. And first I need to open up the Aerotech file. So I'm going to go to Open. And I'm crossing my fingers that it looks in the right spot. And it doesn't. Okay, so let me cancel this for just a second. So cancel that, cancel that. If you go to reload engine data, it will show right here the path where the engine data is stored. So on your computer, I'm on the Mac, so it's under Users, Tim Van Milligan, which is my name. And then in a folder called Library, then inside of Library there's Application Support, and then inside of that is Apogee Components, and then RockSim_1, and then Data. So that's where RockSim is looking for the data. So when I open Engine Edit, that is where I need to be looking. So I'm going to keep that there. Where'd my Engine Edit go? There it is. Okay, so here's Engine Edit. Let me get this a little bit higher. So right underneath it, you can just barely see where's my data path. So now I'm going to go to File, Open, and I need to navigate to that folder. So I need to go to Users. So that's the first one. And then I need to go to Tim Van Milligan, and then I need to go to Library. Okay, and so Library is not showing up, so I need, because this is a hidden folder. Okay, cancel that. So I need to show that hidden folder. So I think if you go to the Go menu, and then come down here, or you hit the Option key on the Macintosh, and you can see now this Library folder is open. And so here's my folder of the library. So that's how I need to do it, I think. Go to File, Open. I need to go back here to Hard Drive, Users, Tim Van Milligan. What was that? It's hidden under here. Library. Come on, why can't I see the library? Well, anyway, I can open it another way. I think I can just go to, I think I can open it just by going here. I'm looking at this right here, that data path. which is right here. So I'm in application support, and then I need to go to Apogee components, RockSim _1, and then data. Okay, so here are all the motors. Okay, so the motors end in the file extension .rse, which stands for RockSim engine, or it could also be .eng for engine file. RockSim can read both of them. There's other data folders in here, like BH data is bulkhead data. So these are like your parts that are stored in RockSim. So CR data is centering ring data. I don't know what all of them stand for. There's graphs. There's a lot. LL data is launch log. But what I'm looking for is the Aerotech folder right here. So here's that's animal. Here's Aerotech. If I drag it, now I've got it open in Engine Edit. So if you can find the folder, you can just drag the file onto Engine Edit and it will open it. Okay, so now here's the list of all the motors in the Aerotech folder. And if I scroll through them, I can find the G79 white. And there's comments here exported using the thrust curve tool from thrust gear. So I didn't make this motor, but you can edit the motor, and that's what we can do. So if we want to change this to be we need to match the official thrust curve. And so where do you get that? You got to get that from whoever certified the motor. So it's either going to be NAR, Tripoli, or the Canadian Association of Rocketry. Those are the three organizations that certified motors. So then it's a matter of finding out which organization owns that certification. So let's open up a new tab. Let's go to the NAR website first, nar.org. And I'm going to go to rocket motor information, certified motors, certified motors here. And we can go to the NAR certified motor list right here. And okay, so we scroll down. We need to get into the G's, so I'm just scrolling down to get to the G's. Okay, so we have one of the G motors, and it has a total impulse of 108 Newton seconds. And if I click on that, it'll open up a chart. So this one shows the official NAR certified motor as a 108.3. Let's see what it is here. This one has that. I'm trying to figure out, is this the reload or is it the single-use motor? And it just says Romano rocket. And this looks very similar to what was in the comments right here. I'm comparing these comments right here to these comments right here. No, they're 106.632, 106.55. So it's really close. Total impulse 106.06. 106. Yeah, I don't know where the NAR got, because this thrust curve here doesn't match the 108.3. It's close. Yeah, what do we want to do? Do we want to change it? I'll show you how you change it. To change a motor, see, I wish I knew if this was the single use loadable or the reloadable, because they're different motors. And it doesn't look like the NAR certified it, and this was in April of 2022. Let's open up another tab. Let's go to Tripoli. Certification. I'm looking for motors. Safety information. Tripoli used to have their motor files. Tripoli, you gotta put your stuff on your website. Prefecture certification, mentoring program, about Tripoli, safety information. I'm looking for motors. Yeah, that ain't gonna help me. Let's go to the Aerotech website. Aerotech rocketry. Resources. Aerotech resources. Okay. This is what I have to do when I make a new rocket motor, or try to put in a new motor file. You got to find the stinking data first. Regulatory, okay, NAR and Tripoli certification documents. Okay, so now we need to find high power single use. Okay, there's no single use in there. Nope. These are all single use. RMS casing. Okay, here we go. RMS 29 to 120. G79. Okay, so now we're getting somewhere. This one has a total impulse of 108.5 newton seconds. So that's like really close to what we're seeing here. So now you got this shape of this curve right there. And so does it match the shape of that? And so this is where it really helps to have two screens going on, so you can see them side by side. There's all these jagged lines here. A lot of that's noise. When they put them on the thrust stand, the thrust stand has it's kind of like a tuning fork. It just vibrates, and that's what we're seeing right here is the metal vibrating. Once you hit it with thrust, it starts vibrating, and so you get a lot of that noise going on. So what you do when you make a thrust curve is you try to eliminate all that, because that's what happens. And then plus when it's burning, it's going through the nozzle and you're getting particles. Every motor is slightly different. It's just the way they burn. And you get erosion of the nozzle, you got a lot of stuff going on. So you just kind of average it. But what you can do is you can move these data points around. So if we wanted to get to what the important number is right here is this total impulse. So that's an important number, and then the peak thrust is an important number. So if I go here, the maximum thrust is 100.7. That was in newtons. So I don't know where they're getting that from. They got pounds over here. Oh, I got pounds over here on my screen. So it looks like about 22.5 pounds is our peak thrust. Okay, so we're a little low on our peak thrust. So you could actually take one of these points. You can click and drag with your mouse. To select the point, you have to double click on it. So now that point is selected, and then I can click and drag. You can see I moved it up. And so when I move it up, that peak thrust goes up. Oops. I moved one down. It's really hard. I made my cursor really big so that you can see what I'm doing. And that just kind of screws me up because now it's really hard for me to move things around. And it wants to jump right back up. Whoop. Yeah. Undo that. I can't undo it. I just have to click and drag. Well, you can also get to that point by going to the you go here to view time ordered data, and it should be, I'm around under 0.8 seconds, so it's probably that point right there, and delete that data point. Nope, it didn't delete it. Let's try that one. Nope, I deleted the wrong one. I don't want to, I'm really messing it up here. But what you can do is you're going to save this back into your database. So when you save it, it's going to change. So I'm going to change the name here to reload. And it should say, see, it says single use. If I make it reloadable right here, and then hit File, Save. Okay, so it saved that motor to the database. Now if I come back to RockSim, and I click Cancel, and then if I go to Reload Engine Data, and if I go I delete that one, so I move it from this side to that side, and then I re-add it. Oops, I gotta select it, re-add it, and click OK. So hopefully by doing that, I've got that new motor in there. So then I go to Prepare for Launch, choose an engine, and now we need to scroll down. I don't think it took it. G79 should be right here. I'm seeing other 79. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Cancel. Cancel. Make sure it's still there. It says G79. Oh, I got a G79 white and a G79 reload. So that's the reload. I'm going to make that one single use. And File, Save. Okay, so if I'm going to try this again. Let me quit RockSim and restart. Maybe that will do it. Save my changes? No. Okay, so I quit RockSim and I'm restarting. I just wanted to make sure it's looking for that motor, loads it fine. File, reload engine data. There's the Aerotech motors. Click OK. So I'm just seeing it's still seeing it. Now we need to open recent, open that motor or that kit again, go to reload our engines, choose engine. Okay, so it's seeing that one, but it's still not, it should be showing 2 of them. Why is it not seeing the other one? Let me go back here and I'm going to do a split. Okay, so set up to split engine into separate engine files. So what it's going to do, it's going to take all these motors and create new files. But I only want one motor. See, here's the output path right now. Engine vendors.dat. That shouldn't be right. I hope you're following this because I'm just doing some really advanced stuff here. I don't want to put it into that data folder because then I'm just going to put a ton of folders in there, a ton of motors in there. So let's put it. I don't want to do that. What is going on? File, save. Let me quit out of this. Okay, so I quit out of that. Let me go back to here. Okay, so it saved it at 2:47 p.m., which is 2:47 p.m. That's good. I know, I got an idea. File, duplicate. So it copied it right here. And let's call this our test. Okay. So I got a duplicate copy of all the Aerotech data. And I'm going to go back to reload engine data. Okay, so there's my test. So I'm going to take this one and remove it and add that one. So I just kind of swapped them. So this was my test motors that I just made. Click OK. Now I'm going to go to load engines. Choose an engine. And it's still only showing one motor. Let's show all engines. Maybe I'm just not seeing it. And I want to sort by engine code. Still only showing one motor. Why is it only showing one motor? What am I doing wrong? I don't know what I'm doing wrong. It's always so embarrassing when I don't know what I'm doing. You think I'd know this stuff, right? Let's see. Nobody's pointing out my error, so it's kind of like it's not reloading those motors. It's kind of like this reload engine data is not working, but it shows it right there. Click OK. Import. And I don't. This is if you want to import like a motor file one at a time. So then you could Aerotech. Where'd that Aerotech go? There it is. Aerotech test. Open. And it copied one motor. I wonder which one it was. Where'd that Aerotech one go? It imported it. That's interesting. I wonder what I just did. If I jacked up my engine database. No, I'm still seeing all the Aerotech motors. Choose engine. G79. Let's put it in a delay. Let's make it a 12-second delay. Use that. Flight profile. Let's see what happens. That took off. There's the rocket on the pad. It takes off pretty good. It's going over 1,000 feet. And it comes over the top. It's coming down. And there's the parachute. And then we'll speed things up and see where it lands. Doesn't land too far away. But I want to go back here. What did I do? Date modified. Let's see what happened. There's the Aerotech RSC. What happened to the that Aerotech test? That's weird that it kind of disappeared. That's interesting. Let's get rid of that. Let's get open engine back up again. File open. See if it's going to let me do it this time. Nope. Go back here and just drag it on here. Oh, that's animal. What am I doing? It's like, why am I not seeing any small motors? Okay, so now we're seeing the Aerotech motors. There's our G79 reload. At 106.37. That one is 107. All this started because two motors are named with the same name. Aerotech does it. Cesaroni does it as well. I think Cesaroni has a G36 or something like that. Two motors with the same name. It's kind of like, but why is it not reloading I just clicked the wrong button. Why is it not reloading my engine files? kind of like that's not working there. Here's the Aerotech. I'm doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Isn't that what Einstein said is the definition of insanity? Try one more thing. If you go to the website thrustcurve.org, this is a database of all rocket motors. So we go G79, search for that. Okay, so we got a reload and the single use. Okay, so they call theirs G79W/L for loadable. That's what the thrust curve looks like, and it's in RASP format. And I want to download the data file, and it threw it in my downloads folder. So what I'm going to do here is file import. Now I'm going to do a file import engine files, and I'm going to look in my downloads folder, and there's the G79W/L open, and it copied it into the data folder, and there it is. I'm going to add it, and I want to see what it looks like. So let me go back to this. There it is right here. Yeah, they're pretty much all the same. RASP doesn't tell you, doesn't store the format, the engine type. Oh, this was the single use. G79W/L for loadable. File save. So we save that. Oops. What that error means is it just lost the. We need to save it in .rsc format. See, I saved it as a RASP. I need to save it as RSC. G79W/loadable. So it's asking where to save it, and it's saving it in this volumes folder, and I don't want it in the volumes folder. Let's just put it on the desktop for right now. Save. Okay, so I'm going to try that again. See, it's showing it there. So I'm going to hit import files. And let's go to the desktop. There's the motor that we just saved. Click open. It copied it. Okay, so now it sees that ENG file. That's the one we just downloaded. I only want to add one. G79, so it added it right there. Click OK. Try one more time. If this doesn't work, I'm going to have to give up for today and talk to the programmer, see if... Why is it not seeing this motor file? Oh, there it is. Now it sees it. Okay, so now that's the loadable, that's the reload. Huh. And then launch it. And we'll see if it's pretty much the same as the other one. Oh, it crashed because it's plugged. But it actually went a little bit higher, 11 feet higher. 21 feet higher. A little bit slower off the launch pad. I mean, that's a little bit slower overall. It's because it has a different thrust curve, apparently. Okay, so I don't know if I answered your question. Whose question was that? That was... Oh man, a lot of questions came in since we were talking. Because we got involved in rocket motors. Oh man. Oh man, okay, so now we got a lot. So now I got to go through all these here. That was Wally's question. Aerocutive says, anything fundamentally different between a rocket and a plane CG set? I'm familiar with fixed wing stuff. The answer to that question is no, there shouldn't be anything different. When it calculates the CG, that's where it balances. People are still talking about sticks. Wally says the unopened motor says 112 Newton seconds. So I get what your confusion is, Wally, because there's a lot of different. There's the certification documents say one thing. There's what Aerotech says. There's what's on the Apogee website. There's what's on the NAR website. You can adjust it to exactly what you want, but you have to know exactly what you want. I would say what's printed on the motor casing, I think that would be, I wouldn't trust it. The certification numbers are the official numbers. Tripoli certified the reload, the NAR certified the loadable. So these are the numbers that you should be going with, because that's what the manufacturer is now obligated to create all new motors at that total impulse. Terry says, can we send you our engine files for PVC motors? Terry, I suppose you could, but I don't know what I want. I don't want them. I think you want them in RockSim, but or in the launch visualizer. And we're not quite there yet for the launch visualizer, changing the motor files, because those files are for everybody. And then if somebody saw your PVC motor file in there, they would say, what is this and where can I buy it? And then they'd be asking me questions, and I don't need more questions like that. But you can upload them into RockSim, and then you can fly them there. And it's the same thing with RockSim Pro. RockSim Pro, what I showed you here, it should be doing the same thing. Chris Swanson says, never put fins on an engine before. Well, it's just like putting in, you have to put the engines inside of a tube in RockSim, because RockSim won't allow you to put them directly on the engine. How to do sugar engine anything to read up. I don't know anything about doing sugar motors, so maybe doing a Google search on that. Once you get, if you get a thrust curve, then you can put it into RockSim, and I can help you with that, because that's what we were just kind of were trying to do. Johan says, I launched my first boost glider this Wednesday, 42 seconds. on an A3-2T. That's pretty good. Johan, you should come to the come fly in contests. Art Applewhite is here. He says howdy from Texas. Johan says, is that modern phone interference that I hear? I have no idea. I know my battery in my microphone, it's kind of going bad and I need to swap it out, so that could be that. If it is, I apologize. Wally says, this is why I'm very confused about rocket motors, and because there's different motors there. Johan said, did Tim just swear? I hope not. But if I did, I apologize. Yeah, there's a lot of comments here. You guys are very active today. What's going on? You guys must be like ready to launch something. The sound noise reminds me of playing Yar's Revenge from Atari. Oh, I'm very apologetic for the noise. If we're getting noise, I'm sorry about that. I think it's Tim's phone or so disturbing the signal of the wireless mic. It's not a wireless mic. There's a little tiny battery right in there, and I need to swap it out. We'll do that next week. I'm looking for any more questions. It says, did you scroll to the end yet? And I said, no. Is there an app for this? No. Perhaps delete the motor and refresh. That's a good idea. In Open Rocket, you need to restart, else the changes aren't made. Yeah, that's kind of hokey. We try to avoid that in RockSim. Manufacturer code in the engine file, huh? And yes, you can change the motor name, which makes it a really good way to sort your motors if you're looking for something specific. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of comments, but not a lot of RockSim questions, except for the motor question from Wally, which was a really good one. I'll try to figure it out, Wally, and I got it to work, but it was very hard. And I try to streamline that process so that when I show it, you can see what I mean. Wally says, is using a streamer the best way to simulate a Jolly Logic chute release? And that is yes, Wally. I would say yes, that would be the simplest way to do it. And then there's any specific size streamer. That's a hard question to answer because you need a streamer that's going to simulate the descent speed of your rocket. And your rocket is going to have a certain weight to it, and if you simulate it with like a lightweight rocket and I have a heavy rocket, mine is going to drop faster with a small streamer compared to yours. So it depends on the weight of the rocket. So what you got to actually do is you got to go out and test with your rocket and your streamer and see how fast it falls, and then adjust the size of your streamer. Yeah, there's not an easy way to do it, unfortunately. Okay, so that's all the questions that I saw. So we're going to end today. We'll try it again next week. we're always game for trying, and hopefully by next week we have that new release. I'm crossing my fingers. I don't guarantee anything, but there's just some minor little bug fixes. So it's not anything major that you need to download right away. Yeah, and then hopefully I'll figure out how to use my own software. So until next week, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go out and launch something.